I got one off my face. The goalie shot it off my face over his head in the net. That's not much of a buffet, but had to stitch me all the way. I got one off my head. Well, I think the coach's job, the trainer's job, is to be in control of the game, in control of the bench. If I get too emotional, for instance, you're mad at the referee, and you've seen it, coaches are yelling at the referee and they're banging away, and what does that do? It creates an atmosphere in your team that's, oh, something's wrong. They're treating us unfairly, and you're mad at the referee. Then you're not playing your game. You're not thinking. You're not in control. Because he was a big man and playing in Europe a lot, he was able to play with his head down and look at the puck and things, push people around. But you can't do that in the NHL. And so it takes him, he's going to grow. And he has. I watched highlights. I was watching the highlights before I came of their game last night. He didn't get a point, but he made a great play to set up a breakaway.
Hokejová extraliga je v plnom prúde, začala sa aj NHL, no a začína sa aj reprezentačná sezóna. Pri tejto príležitosti sme si pozvali pred nemeckým pohárom veľmi vzácneho hostia. And it's a big honor to have here a coach of Slovak national team, Mr. Craig Ramsay. So coach, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back. But it's taken me a little while getting over the time change this time. And then a rainy day today. So.
You're the 7th year in the Slovak national team, but I suppose that we should speak in English, or?
No, I'm afraid. I took lessons for almost 1 year. And then I was learning, but it's really hard. And COVID.
Yeah.
So now I sat home for a long time, many months, and by the time I got back,
it's like a German for me, so it's okay.
But you understand few words.
A few words, but I'm really disappointed in myself that I didn't do a better job. I had every intention, but I have to say that Slovak language is extremely difficult, and compared to English, we don't change the words so much. Every color changes this word, or anyway. Oops, drives me crazy.
I'm not sure if you have heard the words of Juraj Slavkovský during the Winter Olympics in Beijing, that he scores goals from buffet, and is the name of this show. So the first question, obviously, is if you remember some kind of goal from buffet from your active hockey career.
Well, I got one off my face. The goalie shot it off my face over his head in the net. That's not much of a buffet, but had to stitch me all the way. I got one off my head. I got one that I actually kicked in the net. Like flagrant kick from the slot. And the referee didn't see it. And it was before replay, so that was kind of a free one. I take that one.
So you scored more head goals than Leo Messi, for example.
Yeah, actually those two off my head were within in the 1 month. And wow, I almost got a concussion with this one off that. And this one left a big scar. But it's over years. Now it's wrinkles and scars.
Coach, you are still the coach of the Slovak national team. Was it tough to decide to do 1 more or two more years? Because I don't want to say that you are old, but
is that what you're saying? That's better.
But it's hard to coach. It's hard to coach.
When Miro called me the first time, I had taken my first break since I was 16 years old and left home. And all of a sudden, I coach a national team in Slovakia. Oh. And now, every year I tell the people, okay, this is my last year. And then I watch our boys grow. I believe the concept has grown. And every year, like this past World Championships, we only gave up 15 goals, but we only scored 15. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, my Lord, we're better than this. Like, we're playing really good, but I gotta somehow get them to score more goals, teach them how. Nah, but just get it in their heads to score. We get lots of shots and we just can't. But at the end of it, I always, the boy, can I walk away now? And the answer so far has been no. I come back. So I never know.
When you stepped for the first time on the bench of the Slovak national team, which challenges have you seen in that team? And did the team fulfill your expectation after that 6 years?
Oh, yeah, honestly. And I've seen the way we play change dramatically. And it took a lot of convincing, because we want to play fast. We want to attack, forecheck, and then we have to teach them how to backcheck. But we want our defense up the ice. We want to find ways to play what I see as the North American, the NHL way, and I see it. And then, of course, we have the draft with Slavy and Nemitz and Meshar, Sikora. And I've seen the growth. I feel the growth. And I want to convince everybody that we should play that way. We should teach our kids how to play that way. Not to sit back at center ice and hope we don't lose bad, but no matter who we're playing, we go out to try to win. And I think overall, I've seen that happen with our kids, that we go into games and it doesn't matter who we play. We try to chase them and we try to attack them. And we outshoot so many teams, but we just can't seem to find ways to score more goals.
At the end of the season, it will be World Championship in the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. It will be, I don't want to say, but it will be like in Košice, that it will be a lot of Slovak fans, a lot of cheering. Do you feel maybe bigger pressure?
Absolutely. I mean, I can remember Košice, and how many years have I done this? I left home at 16, and I've been doing this kind of thing my whole life. But I'm nervous before every game. Every single game, I have butterflies. I want the team to be successful. And I can't, I don't play anymore, so it's a little bit different, but the pressure is there. And then Košice, we came out of the dressing room and we had to walk up the little stairs, and the noise, the singing and the chanting and the atmosphere was second to none. Made me very proud to be part of it, but wow. And I see, and that's part of it too, Zuzana, who takes care of things for me so much, and it's going to be like a home game.
Oh, boy. Stressful.
Yeah, but that's part of, I guess, one of the reasons that I just couldn't say no again. And so here we go again, and yes, there'll be lots of pressure. There always is.
Yeah, you said that you are nervous before the game, but we don't see it. But a lot of people asking that why are you so calm on the bench? Is it a style, or why do you not reveal your emotions during the game, after goals and so on?
Well, I think the coach's job, the trainer's job, is to be in control of the game, in control of the bench. If I get too emotional, for instance, you're mad at the referee, and you've seen it. Coaches are yelling at the referee and they're banging away. And what does that do? It creates an atmosphere in your team that's, oh, something's wrong. They're treating us unfairly, and you're mad at the referee. Then you're not playing your game. You're not thinking. You're not in control. So if I can demonstrate to the players that it's okay, if we get scored on, let's get another goal. you know, it's harder when we score. You want to, and I always a little bit later congratulate them, but it's not my job to do that. My job is to be in control. So that's what I try to do. And trust me, I'm not so calm on the inside.
Now in November, it will be first tournament, traditional German Cup. I don't want to speak about whole nomination because it can be changes, injuries, and these kind of things. But when you are, is there any player or players who they are excited to see again or something like that?
Well, you know, we did a Zoom call while I was still over at home, and we were going through the lineup, and like so many of our players have gone away, and we've got to, in some ways, we're rebuilding a group and adding some more people. So, I mean, we're going to have people that I haven't seen at all yet. I trust our guys to give me good names and pick good people, and there's some people we think have a chance to play in the World Championships that we're not asking because they play a lot, so we don't need to see them again. Some guys just want to come, like German. He just wants to play every game, you know. And Chereshnek is coming. He wanted to come. He's been hurt a lot at the wrong times, but you know, overall, I just look at the whole group, and there's nobody in particular. It's just a group of people that we have to get together and make sure they play our way, and that they understand that when they step on the ice, they're going to go fast. They're not going to stand at center, because so many teams still play trap. Sit at center ice. And it's really unbelievable. Even guys that have played for us before, the first thing they do when we lose the puck in the offensive zone is skate backwards. And drives me out of my mind. So that's the thing. And so even those guys that have played, you know, a few years for us, we have to sort of get their mindset again back to the way Slovak hockey should be played.
We hope that the style of hockey will change again after the years of the traps, which was famous Finnish teams in Olympic Games or World Championships. So it's better for us to play actively, as you said.
Well, it's so much more fun. It's fun for the fans. Surely you go and watch these teams play and both trapping. So as soon as there's a turnover, out to center ice they go.
It's like a dodgeball.
Yeah, and if they make a bad dump in center ice, we don't want that. We want teams that play us to go, oh, wow, what's happening? And I remember the World Championships against Finland in the second round. We got ahead 2-0. And I was watching them, and they were literally going off the ice, shaking their head. And their eyes were big, and they're looking at the coach like, what's going on with this? What's happening? Because we were just attacking them. Then they score a goal at the end of the first, and we got a little bit scared, and we didn't manage to hold on, and it was very disappointing because I thought we could have beaten them that night. But it was our system against their system. I mean, they're the best trap country in the world, but we're not going to do that. So we lost. I'm disappointed, but I loved the way we played that game, and that's the way we will continue to play.
What was maybe the hardest thing about Slovak hockey players? Because when you are playing this offensive style of game, you are forechecking, but you have to backchecking, and Slovak players are sometimes easy-minded.
On one-way players.
Well, we let them know quite quickly that we show some video of how to backcheck, where to backcheck, because the hardest thing is that players are taught to get a man. So when they do, they're looking, and they'll skate across the ice. If it's 3-on-2 against us, they'll skate all the way across the ice to get a man. The problem is the fourth man's coming. That's the guy that's... So the person you should most be worried about is the guy without the puck, and often it's the guy coming late. So that's what we have to teach them. And if you're standing at center ice, you don't have to worry about that. But the way we play, like, as you said, there are turnovers, and now we've got to back check. So hard through the middle and look over your shoulder, see who's coming, good sticks. And, you know, that's a hard thing to teach in 2 days. So we have good video. Igor does a wonderful job of getting video ready to show. We try to keep our meetings short. And in fact, now my coaches have been with me so long that generally maybe I say something at the start of the meeting and the end of the meeting, but they run the meeting. So they're talking, it goes faster, and they don't have to sit there so long. And so I think my coaches have done a great job with that. And we show them quickly, you know, NHL guys back checking, and then our players back checking properly. So that's the hardest thing I think that you have to get accomplished in such a short period of time.
You said you were disappointed after that loss with Finland, but we have to say a compliment to you that your communication with media after the losses and wins are absolutely the same, and you are a big professional in that way as well. And a lot of times when we made an interview together, so you said some basic notes like we need to play hard, play fast, keep puck and shut the puck. Is hockey that simple?
It is. To finally execute it is not so simple to do it properly. But I want to keep it as simple as possible, so that they have a few thoughts in their head, not 15. If a player on the ice is thinking, it's trouble. Because now, okay, I've got to get this guy over there. Oh no, I got to be in the middle. It's too late. So, skate, shoot, forecheck, back check, but most importantly, play hard. Your job is to play hard every time you're on the ice. No excuses. Don't point your finger. It's not somebody else's fault. There's always something that you could do. And that's what we want our players to think. And I believe if you keep those simple concepts in mind, knowing that I have to go as hard as I can every time I get on the ice, then that's when we get our 40 shots. And eventually we'll score more goals. We'll learn to do that, because when you shoot enough, the puck can go in. If you don't shoot, I don't think you score much. You get a couple off your head, but you have to be shooting. So play hard and want to be a shooter, not a passer all the time. That's another thing with we want to pass the puck. Make a pass. Okay, I have it, I'll give it to you. And you give it back to me. Shoot the puck. Shots and rebounds.
I think the best shooter or sniper from the beginning of the season this year is Oliver Okuliar, the guy you have in the nomination. So do you expect him to be a sniper of the team when he scored, I think, 10 goals in the league?
I really hope so. And Zuzan is scoring a lot of goals, but Okuliar has a great stick. He's got good hands. Like, he has a good stick to get the puck back. I believe he can score goals. It's a hard change because of generally the Czech league plays more of a trap style, but he's a good forechecker. He's the guy we're going to look to on the power play, for instance. I believe that he can be that guy that you try to get the puck to. And if he shoots enough, we're going to score some goals. And once he starts to shoot, then teams cheat on him, and he can make passes too. So, it works both ways. The more you shoot the puck and teams worry about you, now you can find an open man.
Coach, you are not just the coach of the Slovak national team. You are the hero for the fans, for the people, and teacher of the hockey. Are you thinking to the future that who can take over when you one type of finish your job. If it could
Don't
be
say I'm old again.
If it can be some of the Slovak guys, or you think that guy from overseas, from Canada?
My plan when I first came with Miro was to try and get a Slovak coach. I would just love to see one of my guys take over. I have to say, and I think you've seen it, Slovak people, Slovak media can be harder on their own people than they are on someone else. There's going to be tremendous pressure on whoever takes over, especially a Slovak person, but I would love to do that. And that was our plan, and we're still believing in that. And I'd just love to see that happen. So I'm hoping. I haven't picked anybody. I've been thinking about it right along. I've had Pardo with me for so long. Andre, Robert Petrovitsky's coming back. Frigo, Peter. I think he's a brilliant hockey man. So maybe one of those guys will want to do it. We'll see.
Vlad Orsak said that he won't be a national team coach for now, but he's also one of the person who can be later the coach.
He can, for sure. He's a good hockey man. The problem, he wants the trap. Trinitz plays the trap, and they've been really successful. They're good at it. They've got good players. They can make it work. So that's the issue. I would hope whoever takes over wants to continue this tradition, I believe, of playing hard and fast, so that teams are worried about us and not just, okay, here's another trap team. So I like the system. I like the way we play. I think we're fun to watch. Even when we lose, I believe we're fun to watch, that our boys play like that. And it's better for the fans. It's better for everyone. It's more fun for the players. It's a lot of work. It's more work. But surely it has to be the correct way. If you watch NHL, very few traps. And they score goals, and it's fun to watch an NHL game. And, I believe we can play like that.
When I'm not mistaken, Jan Pardovi is your longest assistant coach. What do you think about his career? Because he was in a Trenčín, they fire him. Now he was in a Slovan, they fire him again. That his head coaching job is not so successful in his bio.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at Slovak hockey. Every year there's many coaches fired. I hate to say it, but I've had a few of those myself. They bring me in to rebuild the team. 2 or 3 years later, the team's playing good, and they decide, okay, let's try somebody else. And now we're good again. And I think Jan Pardovi is an extremely good coach. He's been with me a long time. He knows the system. He knows what it takes. The bronze medal, he's there right beside me, making sure if I say something, everybody understands it. He runs practices, he does. So I'm a big believer in him. And if you're going to be a hockey coach, and it doesn't matter where it is, you're going to get fired. That's the nature of the business. And what happens is the team often has a good group of players. They wait too long. Now those players are old and they haven't generated young people. And next thing you know, you're no good anymore. Look at Jersey. They were good for 15 years at least. And then all of a sudden they're one of the worst teams in the league. Now they're good again because they've got these young people. It happens. That's the life of a coach. So I never look at that. Never. I look at how does he handle himself? And now when I've had them, if they work for me, how do they handle the bench? How do they handle the practices? Do they understand? Can they communicate? And I think he can do all of that.
I don't understand one thing or statements by some Slovak hockey legends or older coaches, which Tomáš called him the dinosaurs. That exactly that we don't need in Slovakia a non-Slovak coach. So why do we need a Canadian? They say. But it's common in not only Europe but in the whole world. Not only hockey, it's common in football and other sports. So how do you handle with that? So it was difficult to say by legends of the Slovak hockey players.
Well, it's always disappointing when the legends, these many cases really great players for Slovakia, start making comments like that. All over the world, teams bring in coaches. The person they think might be the best coach for their team at this time. Doesn't matter where he's from. And it's funny, with players, I've coached. I mean, I had a practice one time in Buffalo, and it was a long time ago, and it was just myself on the ice, and half of the players didn't speak English. We had that many Europeans. And I told them a drill, and I looked, and they're staring at me, and I thought, oh my Lord. So it was breakout. I had to go and sort of, I'm the winger, then I'm the centerman, then I'm this winger, and I'm skating out like a nut, and they're looking at me, and okay, now they know. That was awful. But you bring players from all over the world. Why can't you bring a coach from all over the world? I mean, why would you look at me and say, oh, he's a Canadian, he's an American? We don't want that. You want somebody who can do the job at that time, and then you move on. And I would love to see a Slovak guy get the job. There's nothing I want more, as I've said. I want that. And I hope we can do it. And I know Miro Shatan, that's his idea. We're not sure yet. But that is a plan, and it should be a plan.
I think I can say that two of your kids, their name are Juraj Slavkovský and Šimon Nemec, because you watched them grow from the 17 years old kids to the nowadays professional players. What you can say about their development? Juraj is playing second season in Montreal now. He has a little bit problem that he has not points, but Šimon is still in the minors.
Šimon that's a very big disappointment to me. And I know New Jersey has played very well as a team. But to have a second pick overall and not give him a chance, not a game, I find hard to believe. Now, maybe they had a whole season where the defense didn't get any injuries. That's even more hard to believe. But now Šimon was hurt. And then last year, Juraj got hurt quite badly. And, they're still boys. And when we first took them, they were 17. We took them to, start development for the World Championships. And if I am not mistaken, there were many people saying, you can't take 17-year-old players to the World Championships. And we did. And they played well. And then the Olympics, who's MVP? A 17-year-old boy. So give the kid a chance, put him in the right positions. You don't start him on the first line. But in the Olympics, Slavy ended up on the first line, ended up leading us and score goals. And but you've got to give the kids a chance. Everybody needs an opportunity. I got my opportunity in Buffalo. I played 19 games in the American Hockey League, and somebody retired early. So I got called up. That was my chance. And the one thing I've always said, even if you're sitting on the bench, you've got to be ready. So I got my chance, and I was ready. I wasn't great, but I was ready to play a certain way, to do what I had to do. And I think those boys will be ready when, as they grow and learn, they'll get better and better and better.
Do you feel that for the guy like Jure Slafkovský is even harder to go to the NHL because these big forwards they are maybe developing slower or something like that, when you are not named like Mario Lemieux or Jaromír Jágr?
Yeah, and you know, when you're a big man like him, playing here, for instance, you can outmuscle people. You go in a corner, you get an angle, you turn them, you get the puck. You go hit somebody, you get the puck. And Slavy, that first year, he wasn't quite ready, so he got hit hard. Because you know what? There's a lot of big people in the NHL. So he's not the biggest guy on the ice. And even the smaller people, they're tough and they're strong. And you get against veteran players, they know how to play the game. And they know when, if you've got your head down, this is a bad idea. And Slavy, because he was a big man and playing in Europe a lot, he was able to play with his head down and look at the puck and things, push people around, but you can't do that in the NHL. And so it takes him, he's going to grow, and he has. I watched highlights. I was watching the highlights before I came of their game last night. He didn't get a point, but he made a great play to set up a breakaway. He made a few really good plays. So he's learning and he's growing, but sometimes it is harder on a big man because, you know, you've gotten away with certain things that you don't get away with in the NHL. You have to learn when to use your size, how to use your size, and not to think you can just push people around, because you can't.
Still, I think that he will be a superstar. So we hope his career will.
I believe in Slavy. I saw the growth over that time, the World Championships, the Olympics. I saw this kid grow into something special. I mean, it never happened in the Olympics before, a 17-year-old boy that leads scoring MVP. So that's the great part about our young men, that given the chance, they show now they can do it. And the young people should watch that and say, I can be Slavy. I can be Nemitz. I can do this. They can do it. I can do it. Perfect.
We're slowly aiming to the final, but if you remember, on my bachelor party, you give me some advice for my marriage and so on. You said that I have to say my wife only yes, yes, and yes. But my wife also have seen that video, so I have no choice now. So thank you. But the question,
that is funny.
Yeah, the question is that what about your family life? Because you have to travel in Slovakia a couple of times of the year, so it should be difficult in that way.
And I've done it my whole life. It doesn't get easier. I've missed so many things after all these years, you know. But my family, I think, understands it. They would like to see me more, I think. But this is the life that chose me. I didn't always want to be a hockey player. I loved hockey, and I happened to be a hockey player. And then I thought I'd coach, so here I am. So it is difficult. My wife came over for a month this time, and she has a tough time with the time change and all of that. But she's with me for a month, and we walked to the city center 2 days ago and had a nice snack in the old town. It was really quite wonderful. But my kids, my son and grandson came to Košice, a nephew and nieces, and so I was hoping maybe more would have the opportunity to come over, but it's difficult. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for them. When I'm home, sometimes, especially if I've been away quite a while in the summer, and I'm kind of miserable for a few days because I keep thinking I got to go somewhere and do something. One year I was home, and the third day I was home, my friend called me and said, "We're golfing at noon." I said, "We are?" He said, "Yes, Susan called me and told me to get you out of the house." I was driving her crazy. So, you know, my family has dealt with it for all the years I've dealt with it. You do the best you can.
Coach, at the end of the show, we have some kind of questionnaire, and like Goals from Buffet, we expect also a spontaneous answer on the weird questions maybe for you.
So you want something quick?
Not quick, but some
not good at
spontaneously.
It doesn't matter what.
But it's not only hockey questions, you know.
Okay.
You will see. You will see.
Yeah.
So we can begin. If you compare yourself with some active NHL player, who would you be?
That's harder than you'd think. There's a guy in Buffalo actually named Middlestat who I've watched for a few games lately. And he's great in his own end. He battles, he has a great stick, but he's good in the offensive zone as well. So I really like the way he plays. There's a guy, Robertson, in Dallas, and scores 40 goals. I didn't score 40 goals, but I saw him make a play in each zone that I want the video from. I want to show our players that the top offensive player, he was outside his own blue line, got knocked down, and got all the way back to the goal line with a stick to stop a guy from shooting the puck in the empty net. The goalie was out. And that's what I want my players to be able to do.
He was most improved forward for me. Most improved forward for me from last year in NHL, because he was great, really.
Oh, he was. Yeah. So, I mean, I never look at guys and compare them to me. For a while, they got away from the defensive forward kind of mold. They don't really develop that like they did, you know. And now you get line one against line one, line two against line two. Good coaches figure out how to get line one against line four with an icing or a whistle or something. You try to create. But in the NHL, like I had a line I had to play against each night. My line, Donnie Luce, Danny Gare. We had a job to do against the top players on the other team. So the changes, we had to be alert. Our players had to be alert. I get on, get off. Oh, he's not on. I stay here. And our checking line, which we had in those days, had Danny Gare scored 50 goals on a checking line. That will never happen again. So try to compare it. It's just it's hard.
I thought you will say that Patrice Bergeron is a player like you, because he also won the Frank Selke Trophy more times than you. But
you know what? It's hard when I am sitting here to do. Bergeron, I coached him in Boston. And he is one of the nicest young men you'd ever meet. Respectful, intense. He wanted to be a player, but at that time he didn't know how to check. He didn't know how to kill penalties. And Claude Julien was the head coach, and I was coaching the defense. But I spent a lot of time with Bergie, and what a wonderful guy. And he wanted that. He asked me questions all the time. He wanted to be that guy. And he became such a wonderful, I mean, I can't compare myself with Bergeron.
I'll try.
But he's a guy that plays in both ends of the rink. And
Craig is the same like Marek. Marek is comparing himself with the hockey players.
Not with everybody, but just only with Marchessault, because the height is the same, and he's also a right holder. So,
and he's pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Okay, second question. If you could choose, which famous coach will you name as your assistant? Any of the coaches from the NHL?
Oh, Roger Nielsen.
Okay.
Roger Nielsen got me in junior, coached me in professional, took me as his associate coach to Florida, to Philadelphia. He was a special man and ahead of his time in many ways.
That question, I'm not sure, but I have read somewhere that you were interested in woodworking. So if you had to carve a toy out of wood, what would it be?
A train.
It's not,
I like
it's
trains.
difficult.
I like trains.
Okay. Fourth. If you were Gordon Ramsay, what will you cook your wife on the first date?
Well, she doesn't eat much meat anymore, but I would smoke a big pork. I smoke a pork on a green egg in 12 or 14 hours and falls apart. It's really good. So that would be my specialty for her.
Sounds good. And the last question is in Slovak language, so you have to be careful. Okay, listen. Ak by ste si mali vybrať, čo by to bolo? Pivo alebo káva?
Pivo.
Okay, so we have a present for you. It was quick, so you have double.
And I have a coffee too. Because I know that you love coffee.
I do.
It's from my favorite brewery. Coffee.
You know, it's funny because after I'm over here and with the coffee, I go home and it's not so good. I've been spoiled with great coffee over here and I love it. Yes. I broke my coffee machine the other day, so somebody's got to fix it because I don't know how.
Coach, it was a great pleasure to have you here. So we wish you good luck in the season, in the whole life and career and everything. So thank you very much that you have been here.
Taký, my pleasure.
Thank you so much and thank you for your open-minded. I love it for those whole 7 years.
Thank you so much. You know, I try to make things fun. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I believe strongly in that. Work hard, have fun. How bad can it be?
We agree.